I know, we should give him time. But let's be real for a second. Ruben Amorim has serious issues with his system that makes you wonder if he's cut out for this job. Like, I get it, he was a beast at Sporting, but trying to copy-paste that exact system at Man United? Yeah, it's looking rough.
Ja, das ist immer, die erste Entscheidungsgrundlage ist immer, was hast du für Spieler aktuell zur Verfügung? Das ist der alles entscheidende Punkt. Du richtest bei der Kategorie von Spielern, die wir haben, immer deine Idee erstmal an den eigenen Spielern aus. Das ist der wichtigste Faktor. Und wenn du
Now, don't let that comeback win against City fool you. That was pure chaos football. Vibes, passion, a bit of luck. But not exactly a sign that everything is clicking. If anything, it kind of papered over the cracks. The real problem? His tactics just aren't translating. So let's break this down. What exactly is going wrong? Why is his system falling apart at United? And most importantly, can he fix it? Because let's be honest, this isn't just about needing time, it's about his system not translating at all. At Sporting, Amorim had a well-oiled machine. His 3-4-2-1 system was rigid, structured, and super effective. Every player knew exactly where to be at all times. The rotations were drilled into them like muscle memory. The wing-backs knew when to push, the midfield was locked in, and the front three had clear roles. It worked because it was disciplined. Now take that and drop it into Man United. Disaster. Players are moving way too freely, the structure is non-existent, and the entire thing looks like a group project where nobody reads the instructions. Instead of controlled build-up, we're seeing chaotic transitions, rushed passes, and possession getting coughed up like it's going out of style. And the biggest issue? Amorim is trying to implement positional play, but United's squad isn't built for it. At Sporting, his players stayed in their zones, played their roles, and created predictable passing lanes. United? These guys are roaming around like lost tourists. Bruno Fernandes is dropping too deep. Ahmad and Garnacho are hugging the touchline with no link-up play. You can see the difference if you look at pass maps. Sporting's build-up was structured and connected, with clear links between the midfield and attack. United? The pass map looks like a spider trying to draw a football pitch. There's no rhythm, no clear connection between players, and half the time the ball just ends up going backward because nobody is positioned properly to receive it. And here's where it gets even worse. When they get pressed, there's no escape plan. Sporting had clear press-resistant patterns, but at United, it's just panic mode. You can see Onana and the centre-backs hesitate, looking around like, where's my passing option? Before hoofing it long or playing a hospital pass that puts Højlund in immediate danger. But here's the thing, this isn't just a learning curve problem. This is a fundamental, personal issue. The players Amorim had at Sporting were drilled in this system for years. United squad? They've spent the last few seasons under managers with completely different philosophies. Erik ten Hag wanted to control possession but lacked the midfield to execute it. Ole relied on counter-attacks. Now, Amorim wants positional play, but the team just doesn't have the discipline, movement or tactical awareness to pull it off. So yeah, I get that we want to give him time, but right now, his biggest problem isn't just adapting to the Premier League, it's figuring out whether his entire tactical philosophy even works with this squad. Because right now it looks like a puzzle where the pieces don't fit, and if that doesn't change fast, United could be in for a long, painful season. United's build-up play under Amorim has been a disaster so far. Instead of creating smooth transitions from defense to attack, the team looks uncomfortable, slow, and completely disjointed. The idea of having a centre-back step into midfield is not a bad one. When executed properly, it can help overload the opposition and provide an extra passing option. However, at United, this movement is being used as a pressing trigger for opponents. Teams are actively waiting for the centre-back to step up before swarming him, cutting off passing lanes, which leads to unnecessary turnovers in dangerous areas. Either Amorim needs to ensure that the player stepping forward is comfortable in tight spaces and press resistant, or he should consider alternative build-up structures where the centre-back doesn't push up aggressively. If this movement is causing more harm than good, a double pivot in midfield or an additional deep-lying playmaker could help provide better balance and avoid these costly mistakes. One of the most frustrating aspects of United's build-up play is how disconnected the midfield looks from the defence. In a well-structured system, midfielders should constantly drop deeper to offer simple, reliable passing options, allowing the team to progress the ball in a controlled manner. At Sporting, Amorim's midfielders understood this role perfectly. They knew exactly when to drop and when to push forward, making their build-up play smooth and effective. At United, however, the midfielders often stand too high up the pitch, waiting for the ball to reach them instead of actively helping in the build-up phase. This means that when the centre-backs or Onana are looking for passing options, they're forced into a risky, low-percentage passes that either get intercepted or put the receiving player under immense pressure. Amorim must drill his midfielders to understand that build-up play is a collective effort, not just something left to the defenders and goalkeeper. If the midfielders don't drop deep to help, the only other option is to go long, which, as we've seen, has led to United consistently losing possession in dangerous areas. If you look at how Sporting played under Amorim, the striker was never left alone to fend for himself. He was always supported by his inside forwards making smart runs, midfielders pushing up at the right moment, and wing-backs delivering purposeful, well-timed crosses rather than hopeful punts into the box. At United, Højlund is completely isolated for large portions of the game. When the ball goes long, he is forced into near impossible duels against multiple defenders, with nobody around him to capitalise on any flick-ons or second balls. Even when he drops deeper to receive possession, nobody takes advantage of the space he creates. There's no coordinated movement, no aggressive forward runs, no proper link-up play to maximise his strengths. This needs to change. Amorim must ensure that either an additional forward plays closer to Højlund to provide better link-up options, the midfielders push up more aggressively to take advantage of space when Højlund drops deep, or the wide players time their movements better to stretch defences and create passing lanes inside. Right now, Højlund is being asked to do way too much on his own, and it's killing United's attacking play. Amorim must structure his attacking patterns better so the team plays as a unit, rather than leaving the number 9 to battle giants in aerial duels with no support. And this might be the most frustrating issue of all. United's attack is so predictable right now. The patterns are rigid, the movement is minimal, and the team looks completely reliant on hopeful crosses rather than well-structured attacks. Look at how Sporting played under Amorim. Their attacking players constantly rotated positions, occupied different spaces, and made disruptive movements that forced defenders out of position. They didn't just pass the ball side to side waiting for an opening, they actively created those openings through well-coordinated off-the-ball runs. United, on the other hand, is way too static. When the ball goes wide, the players wait for a cross to be delivered rather than making intelligent diagonal runs or creating passing triangles. The fullbacks often deliver crosses into the box with nobody in a good position to attack them, making it easy for defenders to clear. Amorim must change this immediately. He needs to train his forwards and midfielders to move with intent. If an attacker drops deep, someone else must immediately run into the space left behind. If the ball is switched to the flank, the opposite winger must already be anticipating the next pass instead of standing still. These small tactical details separate elite attacking teams from the ones that struggle to break down defences. He had a player who could do this in Rashford, but he's now on loan, and without him, he must find a solution to this attack. But the biggest question is, can Amorim's philosophy work with United's current squad? But before we talk about that, please take a moment to subscribe to Football Historia. Thank you, and now back to the video. At Sporting, he had players perfectly suited to his structured, positional play style. His system was built around their strengths, and everyone knew exactly what their role was. At United, it's different. He's trying to implement the same highly structured build-up play with players who have spent years playing in a much more chaotic, transition-based system. If Amorim wants success, he can't force his philosophy onto the squad without some adaptations. He needs to recognise that United's best moments still come from quick, direct play rather than slow, methodical build-ups. Instead of trying to completely overhaul the team's instincts, he must find a middle ground where his structured principles enhance United's strengths rather than suffocate them. That means allowing more freedom in attack rather than overstructuring every movement, letting Bruno Fernandes play to his strengths instead of forcing him into rigid positional roles, and using wingers more dynamically rather than having them constantly hold their width, like he's using Garnacho now. Allow these players to dribble and make a shot at goal rather than the wing-backs only looking for cross options. Right now, United's football under Amorim feels forced. If he wants to succeed, he needs to tweak his system, find a better balance, and get the players to buy into his philosophy without completely stripping them of their natural qualities. Look, I still believe Amorim is a good coach and he has the potential to make United better, but right now his build-up tactics aren't working and the team is suffering because of it. If he doesn't fix these issues soon, the cracks will only get bigger, and we'll be looking at another frustrating season of wasted talent and underwhelming performances. Another headache in this system is the wingbacks. Sporting's wingbacks were one of the main reasons his system works so well. They were disciplined and smart with their positioning, and most importantly, they understood exactly when to push forward and when to hold their ground. But at United, it's like the entire concept has been thrown out the window. At Sporting, Amorim had his wingbacks start deeper, which gave them time to assess the situation before making a move. They weren't just sprinting up the pitch like headless chickens, they were calculated in their positioning. When Sporting built up from the back, the wing-backs would slowly advance, waiting for the right moment to make their move. This allowed the midfield and inside forwards to create overloads, and when the time was right, the wing-backs would dart forward into the space behind the opposition's defence. It was controlled, efficient, and most importantly effective. Now let's compare that to what's happening at United. Right now, United's wing-backs, whether it's Dalot or Shaw when he's fit or even Mazraoui, are positioned way too high, way too early, or most times forget that they're no longer traditional fullbacks, but now wingbacks. Instead of building up gradually and timing their movements properly, they're starting in advanced positions right from the beginning. This creates two major problems. First, it makes United incredibly predictable. If the wingbacks are already high up the pitch, the opposition knows exactly where the ball is going. There's no element of surprise, no delayed movement to disrupt defensive lines, just static wide players waiting for a pass. Second, and more importantly, it completely kills United's build-up play. Think about it. If your wingbacks are already standing high up the pitch, who's providing width in deeper areas? Who's giving the centre-backs an easy passing option to progress the ball? Nobody. That's why United keeps getting stuck in possession. The centre-backs look up, see no passing lanes, and either go for a risky long ball or play it sideways until they inevitably lose possession. It's like they're playing with too fewer players in the build-up phase, and that's a massive problem. Another issue? The coordination with inside forwards just isn't there. At Sporting, the wingbacks knew exactly when to overlap and underlap. They weren't just running aimlessly, their movements were in sync with the rest of the attack. When the inside forwards cut inside, the wingbacks would bomb forward at the perfect moment, creating overloads and making it impossible for defenders to track them. But at United, it feels like the wingbacks and inside forwards are playing two completely different games. The wingers don't know whether to stay wide or cut in, and the wingbacks don't know whether to overlap or hold their position. And the result? Well, it's confusion, sloppy attacking patterns, and wasted opportunities. And let's talk about Dalot and Mazraoui for a second. One seems to be adapting, and the other, well, not so much. Dalot, to his credit, has been somewhat decent in Amorim's system. He's at least trying to understand when to push forward and when to hold his position. But Mazraoui? He looks completely lost out there. He constantly gets caught out of position. His defensive awareness has been poor, and he doesn't seem to have the same level of tactical discipline that Amorim demands of his system. And this is a big deal because if your wingbacks don't know what they're doing, your entire tactical setup falls apart. I actually do think he is better in the back three system as he plays better there. The stats back this up too. If you look at the success rate of United attacks from wide areas, it's shockingly bad. Too many attacks are breaking down because the wingbacks are either too far forward too soon, or they're failing to make the right movements when the team is in possession. Compare that to Sporting's numbers under Amorim, and it's clear that the system isn't being executed properly. The wingbacks aren't creating enough high-quality chances, and when they do get into attacking positions, their decision-making has been inconsistent at best. So what's the fix? While Amorim needs to get his wing-backs to start deeper and time their forward runs better, instead of being stationed high up the pitch from the get-go, they need to gradually push forward during the build-up play. This will not only help United progress the ball more effectively, but also make their attacks less predictable. The coordination with the inside forwards needs to improve dramatically. Amorim has to drill this into them on the training ground. Inside forwards and wing-backs have to move in harmony, not as separate entities. If the winger cuts inside, the wing-back has to overlap at the right moment. If the winger holds the width, the wing-back should underlap or support from behind. It's all about timing, and right now, United aren't getting it right. Also, selection matters. If Mazraoui continues to struggle, Amorim needs to make a tough decision. Either he adapts to the system quickly, or, well, he gets benched. United can't afford to have a weak link in such an important tactical role. Dalot seems to be getting there, but he still has a lot to improve on as well. Dorgu is here, but he would still need time to develop, but with his speed and quick feet, I am sure he will adjust fast. And if Shaw comes back, he might be able to help stabilise things, but even he needs to adjust his game to fit Amorim's system properly. At the end of the day, if Amorim doesn't fix this issue, United's attack is going to keep looking disjointed and predictable. The wing-backs are crucial to make his system work, and right now they're doing more harm than good. If he can get them to play with more discipline and better timing, United's overall attacking play will improve massively. But if they keep getting caught out of possession and failing to coordinate with the rest of the team, then we're going to be having the same conversation all season long. Another aspect that Amorim has been failing is the attack. Because, let's be real, it doesn't matter how much possession you have, or how many intricate passing sequences you pull off, if you don't do anything with it in the final third. And right now, United look clueless when they get near the opposition box. They're trying to force a goal through sheer willpower rather than tactical structure. At Sporting, Amorim's team had a clear attacking pattern. It wasn't just about throwing bodies forward and hoping for the best. Every movement was deliberate. The inside forwards operated in the half spaces, linking up with the wing-backs and midfielders to create passing triangles. The cutbacks were deadly. Sporting didn't just whip in random crosses and pray that someone would get a touch. They worked their way into dangerous positions and pulled the ball back into the box with precision. The attackers knew exactly where they needed to be, and the midfielders made late runs into the box to provide extra options. It was structured chaos, and it worked. Now compare that to United, and it's like watching two completely different sports. There's no coordinated movement, no clear attacking patterns, just a whole lot of crossing and hoping for the best. Bruno Fernandes, who should be dictating the tempo and controlling the attack, is dropping too deep too often. Instead of pulling the strings in the final third, he's collecting the ball near the halfway line, which completely disrupts United's attacking shape. It leaves the striker isolated, forces Garnacho and Ahmad, or whoever's playing out wide, to create something out of nothing, and results in wasted possession. So what needs to change? Well, first, Bruno needs to stay higher up the pitch. He's United's main creative force, but he's not doing any damage if he's constantly collecting the ball near his defence. Amorim has to make it clear. Bruno's job is to be in and around the box, not playing as a deep-lying playmaker. If United are going to generate quality chances, they need him to dictate play where it matters. Second, United has to stop forcing crosses from deep. If they want to use width effectively, they need to get the wingers and wing-backs into better positions before delivering the ball. That means patient build-up, better movement, and most importantly, attacking with intent rather than slinging in hopeful balls. The inside forwards need to position themselves better in the half spaces, creating passing lanes instead of waiting for something to happen. And the wing-backs, they need to be making those late overlapping runs instead of just standing in static wide positions. Lastly, United need to get their midfield more involved in attacking sequences. Right now, it's either Bruno trying to do everything on his own, or the wide players trying to create something out of nothing. There's no real midfield presence arriving late into the box to add an extra option. At Sporting, Amorim had midfielders constantly making those runs, dragging defenders out of position and creating space for others. United? They're way too passive. If they can fix this, their attack will look more dynamic and less predictable. Amorim has to make some serious adjustments if he wants this attack to function properly. Right now, United's final third play is way too chaotic and ineffective. If they can start creating better chances instead of relying on low-quality crosses and individual brilliance, then maybe, just maybe, they'll start looking like a team with a real plan. But until then, it's just going to be a whole lot of frustration. Can Amorim make this work at United? Or are we watching another manager get chewed up and spit out by this club? Because let's be honest, we've seen this story before. A new coach comes in with big ideas, struggles to implement them, and before you know it, the media and fans are debating if he's even the right man for the job. Amorim might be different, but right now he looks like a guy trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. And the biggest issue is this squad. The players Amorim has at United are not the same type of players he had at Sporting. Sporting was a well-drilled, disciplined team that understood positional football down to the smallest details. Everyone knew their exact role, when to move, where to be, and how to manipulate space. And at United, it's a collection of talented individuals who have spent years playing reactive football. There's a reason every manager since Ferguson has struggled. This club has been stuck in a cycle of hiring managers with different styles, buying players that don't fit a clear philosophy, and then expecting everything to magically work. Amorim's system needs players who are not just technically gifted, but tactically intelligent. Right now, too many players at United are playing off instinct rather than structure. But let's say Amorim is given time. What does he need to succeed? Well, first, he needs the right signings. United needs players who are tactically disciplined, technically secure, and capable of playing in a structured system. The midfield in particular needs an overhaul. You can't play a system that relies on control and fluid movement with a midfield that struggles to retain possession under pressure. Second, players who are already here need to buy in. If guys like Bruno and Garnacho don't fully commit to the new style, it's never going to work. Amorim has to be ruthless. If someone isn't adapting, they sit. No more trying to force players into roles that don't suit them. Most importantly, Amorim has to show flexibility. If he tries to force his Sporting blueprint onto United without adjusting for the differences in personnel and league dynamics, he'll fail. The best managers, Klopp, Guardiola, Arteta, they adapted their needs to fit their team. Amorim has to do the same. If he can tweak his approach while keeping his core principles intact, then there's hope. But if he stays rigid and expects United to suddenly become Sporting overnight, he's in for a rude awakening. So can Amorim make it work? Well, maybe, but right now it's looking rough. He either adapts or he'll just be another manager who came in with big ideas and left wondering why it all went wrong. But what do you think? Can he make it work?